So, David, obviously a big milestone to get to this $35,000 number, but with all the add-ons, you're looking at upwards of $60,000, not unusual as with any car maker. But how much new demand do you think this will drive?
Well, as you noted, we've been waiting for this vehicle for a long time, so I think there are a lot of people that, in terms of incremental demand, they're already in line. Obviously, you've lost some people who have just gotten tired of waiting and have moved on. The incremental demand may come from more of this new distribution model they're talking about, where they're going to an all-online selling method. That's going to be very interesting to see if that succeeds or not. It's really easy for the consumer, but at the same time, we're talking about a vehicle here, not ordering a shirt from Amazon.
Online also means that there will be fewer people who will actually need to sell these cars. So does this mean that there will be more layoffs as well?
Yeah, I was wondering if that was included in the 7% headcount reduction he announced earlier or not. I suspect it's not, but I haven't heard from the company to confirm that. But I would imagine, yes, that a lot of people at the stores are going to lose their jobs. But the trade-off is lower prices.
Sure. Will that drive demand was Emily's question as well, right? But should we be worried also about lawsuits potentially in those states that won't allow sales without a dealer franchise?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's been an issue that's been going on for a long time now with Tesla and the rest of the industry, and the dealer trade group, NADA, is a very powerful organization, well connected in Washington. And dealers are not opposed to Tesla. They just want to have Tesla franchises, too. They want to get in on the action, is my take on that. And it varies state by state. Some states are extremely restrictive, in particular a state like Texas, which is one of the largest car markets in the country. However, Tesla's still been able to get their vehicles into the hands of consumers in those states. Basically, you go into what's known as a gallery store. You can't actually buy the car at the store. You end up technically buying the store from a Tesla store in another state, and then someone delivers the vehicle to you in Texas.
Tesla does have 35 brick-and-mortar stores in California alone, and they did mention 7% of the workforce would be laid off in January. So you wonder how this new process will impact the workforce. David, what are some of the challenges you foresee with this online-only model?
There's the big one, I think, would be we'll get past any legal issues. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to go too into that, but I'm not too worried about that. Just as we were just discussing, Tesla's been operating for a number of years already, and it hasn't slowed them down a ton. I think the next big thing is, will consumers be willing to buy the vehicle on their phone or laptop or whatever it may be in great volumes, because what they're doing, this strategy, it works very well when the customer knows for sure that they want a Tesla, and then they can go online and configure whatever Tesla they want. Just like if you want to buy a Porsche 911 or a high-end Corvette, it would be nice to just go to, say, Chevrolet.com, configure your car, and have it delivered to you without ever leaving your house. Tesla wants to go that route, and Tesla's not held back like the other OEMs are, because Tesla doesn't have franchise dealers. They own all their stores right now. But there are people that want to compare maybe a Tesla Model 3 to an Audi A3, A4, or BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, whatever it may be. And those customers, they may not be willing to go ahead and do the Tesla purchase without first driving the car. And that's why this very generous 7-day, 1,000-mile policy where you can still get a refund on a Tesla is a really interesting move, and potentially a very smart move. But will it be enough to get hundreds of thousands and ultimately millions of people a year to buy vehicles? Because remember, the German 3, they each sell roughly 2 million or 2 million plus a year, depending on which company you're talking about. Tesla's still got a long ways to go there, and it just remains to be seen if they can do it. But making the experience easier at retail is a smart move.
It's hard to imagine anyone making a purchase as big as a car, a Tesla, without test driving it first. But that said, Musk, speaking at this news conference, saying that producing the car at this $35,000 price, again, without any add-ons, he says it's excruciatingly difficult to make this car for $35,000 and still be financially sustainable. David, what are the economics here? How much more pressure is this price going to put on Tesla's bottom line?
Well, at the same time, you'll have a lot of costs going out, and the theory is eventually you make it up in volume. And I think ultimately, it's hard to say exactly how many consumers, but certain consumers that want that $35,000 car, they're going to want some other features, and all of a sudden they're spending 42 or 46 grand or whatever it may be, all the way up to over 60 grand, as you noted. You need to have other vehicles, though, too. That's why the Model Y crossover on the 3 platform coming is helpful down the road, and ultimately a pickup truck, too. That's a huge segment.
David, we're now getting news from NASDAQ saying that the Tesla stock will resume trading at 5:40 p.m. Eastern. That would be in less than 5 minutes from now. We saw the stock drop as soon as the announcement was made, and then it was halted, although throughout the day it actually rose. So what are we expecting this announcement to do for share prices?
I'd be surprised if we had a rapid spike here, because the $35,000 Model 3, that's not new information. We've been waiting a number of years for it. It was just a matter of when. And there were earlier comments from Elon that it would probably happen at some point in 19. I think there's also that old cliche, buy the rumor, sell the news, too. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a decline on this, because now that we know, there's no reason to get hyped up about whatever the announcement's going to be, because you know what the announcement is.
Some important color here, David. Pun completely intended. The $35,000 Model 3 is only going to come in black. Any additional color will be at least $1,500. Our Detroit bureau chief, David Welch, has some funny commentary saying that Musk is channeling his inner Henry Ford, who famously said once, any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants, so long as it is black. How much do these details matter?
David's absolutely right to point that out. I was thinking the exact same thing before you mentioned it on the air. That's the old Henry Ford quote. I mean, that's another example of, well, if you want a different color, fine, but you have to give us more money. So for years, I've never anchored too much on that $35,000 price tag, because it just doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. I mean, the range of a vehicle can range from at starting price, a car might be 28 grand, but fully loaded, it'll be 55 grand. It's just such a wide range. It really just depends on each individual's consumer preferences. But, I mean, to your question, as long as you want it in black, and there's a lot of people waiting for this car, and frankly, the Model 3 is a great-looking car, too. So it should do well.